What is going on, baseball fans? Jeremy Laracuente here for the Baseball Banter Broadcast. And on this broadcast, we're going to be examining three takeaways I have from Kodai Senga heading to the New York Mets. So before we get into it, if you haven't already done so, hit that subscribe button as we are continuing to try to grow this baseball community. If you're interested in more news about the world of baseball, the New York Mets, New York Yankees, Dodgers, Red Sox, Phillies, Padres, all the teams in between, make sure you hit that subscribe button as we cover all the latest news, notes, and my personal thoughts, theories, and opinions here on the Baseball Banter Broadcast. So let's get into it with takeaway number 3. Now, we have a corresponding article on laracuenteledger.com. Links to the article will be down in the show notes, the description below. But the first takeaway that I have from this deal with Kodai Senga and the New York Mets is the contract itself. A 5-year, $75 million deal is what's been reported. So when you look at the breakdown of that in terms of the AAV, the average annual value, $15 million per year, honestly, especially in this market, the way that it's kind of been shaking out, is a discount deal. I also think that because of the length of this contract being a 5-year deal for a 30-year-old pitcher, the Mets find themselves in a position where they were looking to add a little bit more stability to their rotation. We know that Max Scherzer is one of the best pitchers in Major League Baseball, a Hall of Fame bound player, in my opinion, and he has one more year contracted to the New York Mets before he has an opt-out. Justin Verlander is set to only have 2 years and potentially a third with a vesting option. So the Mets are now needing to start looking ahead to the future and trying to prolong and extend this window that they're in. By bringing in a guy like Kodai Senga, who is said to have very good stuff, we'll get into that in a moment. But when we look at what this contract means for the New York Mets, being a 5-year deal, it gives them a little bit more of an extended window to be able to compete, not just in that National League East division, but in the National League pennant race. Now, as we look at the second takeaway that I have about Kodai Senga to the New York Mets, it is about his potential as a starter. Now, it's questions about the way that he will actually break down and be able to handle Major League Baseball, the schedule that there follows, and all the other things in between. Keith Law would have an article on The Athletic where he would discuss kind of the pitch breakdown for Kodai Senga. Very good fastball, very good split finger. But that third pitch is a little bit shakier. And we know that in Major League Baseball, in order to be able to really handle a lineup multiple times through, you need to have 3 solid quality pitches. There is some reports that have his slider, his third best pitch, as above average. Some have it as below average. So you have to kind of put that in the middle. So at best, it's a maybe an average pitch in terms of the NPB, the Nippon Professional Baseball League. So how that translates to Major League Baseball, we'll have to wait and see how it goes. He also was said to have a curveball, but that is even lesser than what his slider is. So if you're unable to really manage at 3 quality pitches in the major leagues, you're really not going to be able to stick as a starter. Obviously, I do believe that the Mets are going to give Kodai every opportunity to be able to stay as a starter. I think that dealing with pitching coaches here are going to try to kind of help maybe maximize it, maybe with the help of some different mechanical changes or grip changes. They might be able to get a bit more out of those tertiary and pitches that he has beyond just the slider, the fastball, and the split finger. So it'll be interesting to see how this all kind of shakes out for him. Worst case scenario, this is a guy that you can plug into the bullpen and have him really focus in on those 2 quality pitches, his 100+ mile an hour fastball and that devastating split finger. But again, I do believe the Mets are going to give every opportunity to Kodai to be able to stay as a starter. But obviously, the way that this game goes, you can never have too much bullpen help. Now, the third takeaway that I have from this deal is exactly what is next for the New York Mets. As I just said a moment ago, the New York Mets still need a ton of bullpen help. being able to acquire services of a guy like Kodai Senga really helped the starting rotation as it stands right now. Being able to replace all that was lost at the beginning of this offseason with the departures of Jacob deGrom, Chris Bassett, Taijuan Walker, Trevor Williams. Now you're starting to kind of build out this rotation once again because the Mets don't have any real high level prospects approaching major league level in terms of pitching. So being able to kind of fortify the front end of the rotation with some high quality starters who could potentially give you length in those games, 5, 6, 7 innings of work, hopefully leaves it so that your bullpen is less dependent on. But you still are going to need to add more to that pen. Yes, you have Edwin Diaz that you brought back on a record deal, but you're going to need to rebuild that bridge that was ahead of him. There's not a lot of guys on this market right now that are really drawing a ton of attention at the time of this recording. So being able to kind of jump the market and sign one or two of these guys, they brought in David Robertson, which is a nice fit as a guy who could be a bridge to Edwin Diaz, potential guy who can fill in that closing spot when you need to give Diaz a rest or if he gets injured. But you're going to need more than that if you're the New York Mets. There's also questions about the lineup and how much consistency they're going to have with a kind of home run heavy approach. I think that there's going to be a bit more of a balance in 2023 when you look at this lineup, but there's no doubt about it that if they can add some more help to that bullpen, being able to have to look at a guy like Francisco Alvarez, a rookie catcher, and a guy like Brett Beatty, a rookie third baseman, and really rely on those two guys for quality positions in terms of your lineup and defensively. And you have to question what exactly do you have if you're the New York Mets with both of those guys right now. So being able to maybe solidify, whether it be another player on the bench, a starter to allow you to kind of slowly fill those two positions in with those quality top prospects is really going to be the question for the New York Mets. They have spent a ton of money. This is absolutely a George Steinbrennian spending spree that Steve Cohen has gone on, and being able to kind of rebuild this roster so that you allow your young prospects to start building their way up. You know, the Mets have kind of redone things from the ground up. They've had to. Steve Cohen has spent the money up top so that they can build the infrastructure down below. As of November, I believe it was, MLB.com had the Mets farm system ranked as high as 8th, I believe. So they're really laying in the groundwork to be able to be a sustainable winner. But in the meantime, Steve Cohen is just flexing that financial might and really trying to be a man of his word and try to bring a championship to the New York Mets within the 5 years that he has purchased the team. So this is year 3 that we're heading into of his ownership, and it'll be interesting to see exactly how the Mets play everything out in 2023. But I want to hear from you guys. Let me know your thoughts, your feelings. Mets fans, what are your thoughts on Steve Cohen and the way that he's been spending money? Do you believe that it's been wise investments or reckless spending? Let me know what other positions you feel need to be filled to be able to fill out this roster. Are you excited or nervous about the potential of having Brett Beatty and Francisco Alvarez starting in your lineup on opening day? Let me know all these thoughts, these feelings down in the comment section below, and we can continue the discussion over on Twitter as well at banter_baseball. So I want to thank you guys for tuning in. Keep it locked in. Once again, hitting that subscribe button here on the YouTube channel allows us to continue growing this community. Let all your friends that are baseball fans know this is the channel to watch in 2023 and beyond as we continue to look at the latest news, notes, as well as my personal thoughts, theories, and opinions on the game of Major League Baseball. Peace.